has her own, and we'll see her take on Jack Nicholson sometime in 2010.
In the New Yorker.
In the New Yorker.
Did Jack's people leave any fingerprints in their efforts on your book?
What do you mean, in trying to squelch it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did people get back to you and ever say, we'd love to do something on this book, but it's going to cost us access to, or it's going to...
Oh, no, I was never able to pin that down.
Yeah.
I mean, my editor, the closest I got to getting any kind of feedback in that regard was my editor at Wiley would email me from time to time saying, geez, I don't quite understand this, I mean, it was a lock. It was supposed to be, and, they told us that they had it scheduled, and now all of a sudden it's fallen out. I don't understand. I'm like going, I understand, dude.
And Good Morning America today, they never gave any reason why they lost interest in the book, right?
Nope. Nope, that's not how it's done.
And you didn't even find out from your own newspaper why they lost interest in the Sunday magazine piece.
No. But then, the New York Times is a bizarre Byzantine kind of place anyway. David K. Johnston is a good friend of mine, and he has a book he just came out with, a month or so ago. And he's on staff at the New York Times and writes about the IRS. And the book is now on their bestseller list. I mean, it's I think it's number 4 or 5 on the nonfiction bestseller list. And David has had several conversations with me about how, his own newspaper, his own editors have looked upon his book as being, not second rate, but
it got a bad review in the New York Times, and David K. Johnston was not very
happy. I mean, it was his own newspaper, raking over the coals, and he says, and that's a direct result of the kind of backbiting jealousy that goes on in any major newspaper or magazine. You can never underestimate that kind of attitude. It's not enough to succeed. You have to see your friends fail.
What about in researching the book? Did you encounter people who told you I've been told not to talk to you?
Sure. I had that. I encountered that a lot, especially the closer you got to the inner circle. And there were a number of off-the-record interviews because people didn't want to upset Jack. And I don't know. I mean, you always run into that, especially when you're dealing with someone like him, someone who has enormous power and an image to protect, and they also have enough background experience and just basic intelligence to recognize who they're dealing with. I made no secret up front with Jack who I was and what I was going to do. I'm not in the business of doing hatchet jobs. but on the other hand, I'm not in the business of doing puff pieces either. What I try to do is tell the whole story, and I don't write something just to be salacious, just to appeal to lowest common denominator sensibilities. But on the other hand, I'm not going to self-edit just so that I can curry the favor of the person I'm writing about. I think that anyone who does that forgets who they are serving and what their role is. If you are a journalist by definition, you should be reporting the truth to your readers. And I think far too often journalists these days don't. And it's one of the reasons we have the president that we have. And you can extend that to all walks of life, because journalists, more often than not, are not doing their jobs.
The journalists, it's in a weird position in that they have obligations to so many different parties that when you talk about journalistic ethics, it's kind of different from medical ethics in that the doctor's primary ethical obligation is to his patient. The journalist has ethical obligations to his sources, to the people he writes about, to the reader, and to himself and to his bosses. And there's so many competing obligations that it always tends to render journalistic ethics. I don't know. There are just so many obligations, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you certainly get into the old John Stuart Mill argument again. I mean, it's...
Which argument is that?
The fundamental fallacy of utilitarianism. The most good for the greatest number. It sounds good on its face. The way to conduct your life and your decision making is by attempting to do the most good for the greatest number. That's a no-brainer. Hey, that's what we all should try to do. But in fact, when you do try to do the most good for the greatest number, you inevitably step on somebody's toes. Doing good for one person can mean doing disaster to another.
Yeah.
So, you go back to your analogy, your physician's analogy. Yeah, that would be terrific, although even that is complicated. The whole idea of the Hippocratic Oath, making it real simple for a physician. All he has to do is worry about his patient and doing the best thing for his patient. But in practice, I'm not sure that always works out that way, because if a physician takes care of only his patient, he may be doing harm to